So earlier tonight, my internet decided to crash out on me. So I figured we'd redo some of the stream and just see who's around. Maybe some of the Europeans or some of the East Coasters are up, or perhaps maybe people are even up from last night, still on the West Coast, being that it's around 4 in the morning here. So I figured that I would just see who shows up at this random late night stream, and I've been up reading some interesting articles, and figured I'd chat with whoever's out there, and maybe it'd be a different crew of folks than we usually get. So I hope everybody's doing well. Hey, what's up, Tennessee Aqua? What's up, man? How's it going, buddy? Um, it's 7:22 a.m. over there. Yeah, on the good old East Coast. Nano Aquarium guy, what's going on? Yeah, it's 4:22 a.m. here in Seattle. And I turned all my lights on in the fish room, and sometimes I like to just kind of see what the fish are up to. They're all different colors. Some of them have different patterns at night, and also some of them spawn or feed or just do different stuff at night. So I figured we'd look at some of my tanks and just hang out and chat if y'all are up for that. And something else that I wanted to mention is I was talking about it last night, and the fish tuber group event basically that I wanted to promote is Dr. Anthony, who runs the Amazon Research Center for Ornamental Fish, which is a public aquarium that's scheduled to open in about 3 weeks down in the Peruvian Amazon, is going to show like 300 species of native fish to the native folks down there in Peru. And it's kind of like the Mississippi River if you're from America, or the Thames, or I don't know, any murky brown river could take the place. The see, my brain's not going to work super well this late, but it'll be entertaining nonetheless, I bet. But the Mekong, that was the one I was thinking of, or the Ganges River. Um, those are also murky rivers. So people tend to know the fish they eat, or any fish that are dangerous, or sting, or bite, but they don't necessarily know all the little fish, just like a lot of Americans have no idea what little fish live in our waters, especially if they're not clear waters. So the Amazon Research Center for Ornamental Fish is going to both show them that so that they can enjoy it, but it's also going to be a place where people can come from all over the world to either go collect fish or they can do research there. So if they have something they need to be studying in the Peruvian Amazon, they can actually go there and stay in the dormitory, or people can go collect fish there and basically stay with Dr. Anthony and any other researchers that are there, and stay in a city that actually has air conditioning, electricity, Wi-Fi, all that kind of stuff, so they can do research papers or research, or maybe if your health just isn't that good but you've always wanted to go to the Amazon, it's kind of the dream way to do it. In fact, it's probably the only way I'll make it to the Amazon with all my allergies to insects, stings and bites, and also my autoimmune issues with lupus. I'm probably getting to the point where I can't necessarily, and my back injuries, where I can't trek into the jungle without medical assistance for days and days. It just may not go that well for me. So for me, it's kind of a cool project in a selfish sense that I want to go down there someday, and he allows people to come visit his facility as long as they volunteer for while they're there, like help out. I think it's like 4 hours a day or something, doing like chores around the place or helping out with whatever they need done. So, any case, I have set up a website or landing page basically on their .org website, and they have no employees that they pay. Hold on, we're getting fog on the lens. They have no employees that they pay whatsoever, and it's just him and his wife, Dr. Anthony, and his wife Renee, who's a sweetheart. And we're also working on a kids education program, and I'm illustrating a coloring book and like a work booklet for the kids to, what should not be in the rivers species wise, what can you do to recycle and not put wastewater into the rivers, all sorts of things like that. Plus just some fun and games and like education of what's in fish, in coloring book format. So they're doing some cool stuff, but I wanted to show them when they asked for help with their fundraiser. I said, yeah, you're one of the only nonprofits that literally has no middlemen, no other employees. So I'm happy to support that, and I'm just encouraging folks if they could give $1 or $2 even. It would show that us fish tubers can put our money where our mouth is. That it doesn't need the big corporate Petco, PetSmart type sponsors, or big charity auctions and formal events that like Project Piaba seems to get, which is also a cool project and everything. But they've got a whole infrastructure that they have to pay for, so less money goes to the end results of helping fish. And Dr. Anthony's really, the money goes straight to the facility and all that. So in any case, there's a link to that in the description, and it's for our specific fish tube team. You can sign in and make a name basically and donate $1 or $5 or whatever. But feel free to share that. Anybody involved with YouTube and fish keeping, I'm just trying to kind of like raise our spirits as a community, in the sense of like, when nonprofits function, a lot of times they get really down and they don't see the value of whether it's big commercial projects like Fluval or Petco, PetSmart. They don't necessarily see the value of us YouTubers and us fish tubers and people online sharing our experiences. They don't see that we're the new media, we're the new magazines, we're the new books. Whereas in the past it was all 1 or 2 magazines that ran the ads. Well, now we are the ones that make the difference. And so I think it's a powerful thing to also give to a cause and then be able to show them a list of names that not necessarily gave $1,000 each, but that gave a few bucks each. So if it's something that you're into and you want to support, it's something that's been vetted thoroughly by me. I've seen how it works and where his money goes, and it's on a nonprofit, so it's all transparent also. But yeah, so that is in the description if you want to do it. That's enough yammering out of me. That's the only advertisement in this live stream segment. Other than that, we're just gonna look at fish and chat. And if you guys have any questions or thoughts, just do @Alex or @TheSecretHistory, and hopefully I'll see it come up in the live stream. If you were with us last night, sorry that the live stream just got cut off abruptly. The internet went down, even though that live stream was mostly me complaining about how my roof's leaking and how my rug caught on fire and my laptop's dead, all within the last few weeks. Well, the rug and the roof happened the same day, but needless to say, life's not so bad. My spirits are good. Just got to roll with the punches, and I hope you guys are doing good this morning, this evening, today, whatever it is, wherever you are. And let's see who's in here after I take a sip of our sponsor, who never sponsors us and I have to pay for it. That is some warm fish room Dr. Pepper. They used to serve Dr. Pepper warm in the 1950s. Like a suggestion was, why don't you serve it warm? It'll make your eyes water. That was literally their advertising slogan, and I was like, I don't think that's a good advertising slogan. It's pretty awful hot or warm. Try it in like 140-degree car. It is rough. It's like drinking brandy or something, but like chugging it. Tara, hello. How's it going? Oh, you got angelfish to spawn. Right on. Congrats. Fish and Tank Dicks, what's going on? Street Trash, hey, hey, hey. It's a 2022 country song. That's right. Play it backwards, I get it all back. Vinay, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Evan, hello. Good to see you all also. Great to see you in here. See, I knew I'd see some different folks in the morning than in the evening. Mark, what's up? Thank you so much for supporting ARCOF, the fundraiser we're doing this month. Really do appreciate that, man. I want to give you a shout out for that. I saw your name come through in an email, so that's awesome. RR, hello from Bangkok. Right on. I'm glad I could catch you. So yeah, if you guys have anything you want to say to me specifically, just do the @ symbol with my name or my channel handle so that I see it better. But let's take a look at some fish. My ugly face isn't that interesting. So right now it's the middle of the evening. Well, middle of the morning. It's like dawn. So you can see like my snail infestation. You can see all my dirty secrets. So essentially like this tank, also the other thing is if you see that your lilies are doing this where they melt, I use a turkey baster. Look at that. It just annihilates the stems that are old. Like just just sucks it up and it's gone all the way from the base about a day after they're in there. And then what I do is I take all of this mess and I put it in my little bowl over here, which is a bowl full of scuds. If you guys can see it, hold on. Let me try to show you guys some. There's scuds all over in here, like hundreds of them. And I just make sure that I give them rotting plant matter and algae as much as possible, and it seems to work pretty well. I also will take any floating plants that are starting to melt or have really dirty roots, and I put them in here for a while, and they'll either melt away completely, and then that's the end of them, and the scuds are eating it, or I'll get I'll get them cleaned off and then I'll just put them back where they came from. So, but this little bowl seems to raise enough scuds that I can feed them to the few species that I have that really require that live food every single day. Like, I mean, the elastomas don't require it necessarily, but they really do enjoy it. So I feed them and my least killies that way. My little dojo loaches, which are in the same swamp water that I caught them in. Like I caught them in a wetland by my house, and so they're still in that water that I filled up and then drove home in my truck. But I added some snails, and there's some guppies in there too, because I was curious about how the water quality was. As for my guppy tanks and endler tanks, you can see that they're real quiet. They're all asleep. All the babies are awake. So it's another thing that I like to feed. I like to feed all my little baby fish in the middle of the night if I'm awake, like or early morning before their lights are on usually, because the little baby fish tend to come out and hang out in the top corners of tanks when that's going on, because the adult fish go down lower and sleep or sleep at the top. And even like least killifish and stuff like that, there are a lot of fish that you don't realize are nighttime hunters. So they're on the lookout for scuds or whatever it may be in their waters. And then there's always the needy fish like these ones that just always want food. I've actually had a hard time selling these Turkana jewel cichlids. I had like 50 of them. I still have about 20 of them in here. But they seem to really love this messy, dirty tank. And when I put them in a cleaner tank, like over here, their color went away. And I know it's a live stream, so you probably can't see true color that well. But they are pretty colorful right now. Some of them are colored up almost to their true potential. If we look in there, like this one here is very colorful. So bright that it almost looks fake. It looks like they have a light source within them or something. But that's another fish I love. Let's feed some scuds to... And also, by the way, this guy's doing well. My my little Akara, dwarf Akara basically, but it's an Aguarensis Akara. So it's like a small version of the Akara. And this is full size, and let's scoot it ahead a little bit, but you can see really pretty fish, and it's about 2.5 or 3 inches long, but really different head shape for a smaller cichlid, and really pretty markings. It was sleeping when we came in here, but these are its colors when it's sleeping, and he's gotten a lot more friendly. This is the male. The female is still pretty shy, and she hides either in this little cave or somewhere back here, usually in all of that Sawassertong. Oh, here she is. She's hiding right there. And she's way smaller than the male. She's like, let's see if we can get her to come out by just kind of nudging her. Yeah, she's way smaller. So she's like smaller than even an Episto would be. She's maybe 1.5 to 2 inches, I'd say, back in there. So, yeah. Um, let's see here. Yeah, scuds are amazing for sure. They're full of nutrients. They are Midnight Lobster. Welcome. Hello. How are you doing? They are really good for nutrition. You know, they actually looked at all the different things like bloodworms and what was it? It was like bloodworms and daphnia and a number of shrimp and krill and stuff like that. And they said that scuds and daphnia were like the #1 on those lists of about 40 things they tested. Yeah, it's a Latiacara aguaria or aguarensis, however you want to say that, I guess. And it's like the dwarf one. Collection point from Uruguay. So, and it's in here with a bunch of Bickford pencilfish. And I just had the the female Bickford pencilfish go. Like, there's only 2 that are still full of eggs, but all the other ones out of a school of about 15 or 20 that are in here now, all the other ones went into the other room, and I had them lay their eggs with 2 males and like 5 or 6 females. I put them in the other room in a cooler tank that was like room temperature, like 70, 72 degrees, or like 19 Celsius or so, 20 Celsius, and allowed them to spawn for a couple days, gave them a bunch of live baby brine and stuff, and then got them out of there. Yeah, scuds are really interesting, aren't they, Savage Fox? I agree. They are a really interesting fish. Alishon says, I picked up 3 at an auction about 6 months ago. The Akara variant. Yeah, right on. And it looks like, you know, at night is often when I find out that I have new babies in a tank. Like, that is a new baby, Venezuelana or Venezuelan Corridora orange variety, orange and blue. And sorry, these tanks are kind of dirty. I cleaned them not that long ago, and you know what? I am positive now. I got these pencilfish at Aquarium Co-op, and these ones are going to be the Equus, Nanochromis Equus, or Nanostomus Equus rather. And you can see that black dot. That's from when the lights were out. They have bands going the other way. Well, the other ones that they sold me, actually, these are the Equus here. These are the Una fasciatus. But the Equus are a different species, and they've got more color in their tail, whereas the other ones have brown in their tail. And they hang out in different spots in the tank at night and separate up by species. So even though they're sold as the same thing, I mean, that happens a lot. It usually happens at big pet stores more often, but so I was kind of surprised that Aquarium Co-op had the mix-up going on, but I'm not upset at all. They both look really cool, and they're healthy and everything, so that's good. But this is the tank that was filterless for a long time. I've had an Airstone running in it for a while now. And then also there are Corridora similis, and there are a few of the Venezuelana in here, Venezuelan Cories. And then there are some longfin pandas that are miniature, like they never grew, and they're very small. And then there's a lot of Malawa shrimp. So that was something I wanted to announce last night. Ooh, I should spawn these guys too. These females are ready to burst. They're so full of eggs. Oh, gotta mute my alerts. Sorry, guys. Let me mute that. Okay, it was Dr. Anthony of all people. So, Dr. Anthony, I was trying to get a hold of his wife because of that book that I said I was making. That I'm coloring and trying to get done by the opening of their center. But in any case, in here, this tank's been doing pretty good, and it's one of the deep substrate setups. And I've put some native Pacific Northwest plants in here too. How do I get my Sawassertang to carpet like this? Well, this is what happens when you have low light and also very soft water and no movement, no flow really. It'll grow very dense. In higher light, it'll grow darker green and even denser. And here, let me show you guys my... I'll have to be a little quieter because my wife is still sleeping for a few more hours, but let me move over to the tank that has CO2 running in it right now, and we'll take a look at that, and then we'll come back and look at the biotope tank and what's going on there, and some of the other fish, see what they're up to. So, all right. So this tank here, check out how the Sawassertang and the moss in CO2 and no nitrates, the moss grows like epically. It'll grow on anything. So like we've got moss growing even in the corner, this Christmas tree moss, or Christmas moss, I guess, rather. And then the red root floaters are just insane. I mean, they're blood red, as dark red as they could get. And the other cool thing is that they're all flowering right now, and they smell pretty good. Let's see if we can get a focus on them being zoomed in. But they're actually red on top too right now, which is pretty cool. Yes, yes, I did see the new all red pencilfish. I covered it in one of the member mini videos last 3 weeks ago, the one that showed up in Hong Kong. Yeah, see, I've got some more pencilfish in this tank too, and here are the equus, and there's also some 3-line pencilfish in this tank, and some bloodfin tetras, and some lamb chop or glow light Rasboras, and then of course we've got the angelfish, the koi or tiger's blood as they're sometimes called, pearl scales, and these are locally bred, but you can really see the lateral line at night for some reason. They color up and you can see that big nerve that runs along their body and how it's bifurcated or split. But look at how iridescent these fish are. They're not even like real scales, it doesn't look like. It looks like a wave in the skin more than individual scales. It's like crinkled iridophore skin, whereas the black moor angels have actual scales. And when these two females fight, you can actually see, like when there's a scale missing, you'll see like a light gray underneath that. But they're melanistic, so they are all dark black. All the tissue in them has black pigment, including like inside of them when they're dissected, they're even black on a lot of their internal organs, which is kind of crazy. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And yeah, I've been running CO2. What ends up being a few, like 2 bubbles a second is what this ends up being, with a little $10 Do Aqua plastic filter. It's been running for over 6 months now, and there was a month where it was off, but I mean, the bulbitis is growing really well. The bulbitis hedulata, the tripartita is growing well. All the boost is growing well. I just trimmed everything a little bit, but I need to trim it again, and I'm waiting because I'm speaking at the club down in Eugene, about 6-hour drive south of here in Oregon, and I'm going to be speaking about the history of the hobby, but I'm also going to be bringing some shrimp and some fish and plants, most likely. But like, I've got this Rotala red Any that's doing really good, and it's like bright yellow and orange and red, and the polysperma, the Potamogeton gayi is looking really nice with its bands that you can actually see pretty well right now if it focuses. You can see there's a gold band in the center of every leaf, or bronze if it's a dark leaf, or orange if it's a red leaf. And then this is all colored up again. So my lovely Crispus, which I thought was Olvasis when I first got it, but then yeah, it's a Ponegeton Crispus, and I'm really hoping it puts up another flower soon because it hasn't flowered in about 4 months now, 5 months, and when it did flower, it flowered back to back twice, and I put the seeds in this tank over here without the CO2 or high light. Wow, I don't know this. Yeah, it doesn't come across to you guys, but this is awesome looking. With it's neon orange, kind of like these fish's heads are showing up. Trying to get the color accurate, but it's just not live. But these are neon orange when I'm looking at them live, and then like a beautiful color of like fuchsia in there. Here you can see the scales on that fish. You can see in between the scales and where it always slams its head when it's in a fight. It's got some iridescence and striping in the tails and in the caudal and in the anal and dorsal fin. And then this tank is absolutely choco block full of Corridora venezuelana, and again they're on that Sawasser tongue, and that's what I came out here to show you. Also, look, these pencil fish, the same species that are in the other room, see that dark line in the center? They've got like a dot. Well, that dot, they get another dot by their tail and another one by their nose or their eye, and that gives them vertical striping rather than just horizontal striping. So in theory, they blend in with grass going, this way when they go into the shallows at night. But you can see there's more cories up here. And what I really like about how this tank has evolved is it's come all the way up out of here, because there is wood and there are blocks of stone in here, but the plants are actually coming up out and becoming very well immersed. Even the roots are kind of coming up and out, and that's because they're trying to get the CO2 out of the air, and that's from the wisteria plant right here. The roots have started to do that. There's another wisteria back here, and you can start to see how different the leaves are on the landform. They're actually broadleaf. And also, the bulbitis is out and in its landform. Finally, after about a year of waiting, it was below the surface, just waiting and waiting and waiting. And it should be popping out probably right here too. You can see that it's curving, it's trying, it keeps melting and then coming up. And yeah, but again, the red root floaters, this is probably the reddest I've ever gotten them. And the little flowers on them, usually they're white. Well, some of them now are even showing up with like a beautiful pink 5-dot pattern, even though they're super teeny. I'm trying to find one where you can see it. Maybe you probably can't, but they have little dots of red in the center of each petal, which is kind of cool. And then also, I'm almost done with about 4 months, 5 months almost now maybe, with this Higer heater, this giant chunky. This is the same casing for the 300, 400, and 600 watt ones that they do. But I've been trying it out. I've had it in this tank. I put it in another tank. And then I've been taking temperature readings from both sides, since there is flow in this tank from a canister filter, but it's not a ton. As you can see, the plants aren't moving or anything. So I kind of wanted to see how well it spreads the heat versus does it all stay here. But they claim to have designed it so that the heat is on one end, and that it's usually the lower end of the unit, as long as it's tilted slightly like it is. As long as it's tilted like this, the heat then causes the water to rise here, and it causes convection in the tank. And, with this tank, I could have tons of baby tetras or rasboras hidden back in here, and I would have no idea right now. In fact, I haven't seen my leopard frog plecos in probably 2 months. I haven't seen a single one, and I'm a little worried about them. They've got a series of caves built in, but as you can see, like I was saying, the Sawassertong and the moss have just gone insane in this tank. And I cut every couple of weeks, I cut everything back all the way to about here, and then in a week it grows right back. So this tank is so productive. Uh, and it has aqua soil and everything, but this is one of the ones where I actually layered it with, I did like nutrients planned all the way in it. And we've got scuds and little isopods, seed shrimp, detritus worms. I made sure to get all that, and a lot of Malawa shrimp. So these Malawa shrimp seriously are one of the secrets to my success with all my tanks. They are a food source, they're a cleaner, and they seem to clean fish eggs rather than eat them. They only seem to eat the rotten ones for the most part. They may eat a couple for all I know, but I just haven't seen that happen. So, yeah, but that tank's doing pretty good. This Cophifolia is doing crazy good. And then over here, sorry, I should read the comments. Have you seen all... oh, wait, we've got that one. Ticket to Space, what's up, dude? Craig, Savage Fox, thumbs up. Thank you. Kendrick, what's up? Maud Dibs, hello. I get to work and see an Alex stream. Morning made. Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. So, yeah, let's see. Whoa, stop zooming in. I'm trying to read the chat, and it's zooming in like crazy. MX Rider, I just finished my tank 1-inch Fluval stratum with a root tab. With root tabs, 1.5 sand. Is it safe to put fish in? Yeah, I mean, especially if you've got plants in there, but I would just double check that it's cycled. You know, you want to make sure that the ammonia is 0 and that the nitrates and nitrites are low. I mean, your nitrates can be 50 or 60 parts per million, realistically. I think it's better to have them low. Some people, like Father Fish, will say, don't worry about it. They can go as high as into the 1, 2, 300s. But some studies have been done and shown that fish have a little bit shorter lives and are more illness prone in the long run with that. Here's that Potomac-Eaton gay eye again. When it lives at the surface, it only has the one color leaf, but it has kind of a bronze when you hold it up to the light, but you lose the multicolor green, and it alternates green leaf, bronze leaf, red leaf, and then it goes back green leaf, red. So it's kind of a cool like stoplight effect on that plant. And then this is a Rotala Vietnam here. It's still closed. It thinks it's nighttime because I turned it on for this stream. And here is some triangle moss in here. Can we see it? Triangle moss versus Christmas moss versus the Java moss, which is all helter-skelter. I think I like the Christmas moss the most. It has like a... it comes out in... it looks like evergreen tree branches that are layered, and I really like that effect. But, you know, it's to the point now where the wood, there's only one little piece of wood viewable, and this bulbitis is getting out of control. And even my Anubias, the albino Anubias, is getting pretty crazy now. So I'm gonna have to uncover it because I'm starting to forget what the heck is under, you know, all these layers. But I wanted to point out something else, which I'm hoping will start hatching of little fish or fry soon. Is this red root floater and these rotting water lettuce? I'm hoping that they're all stuck together in this mass, and I can see, let's see if I can get them on camera at all. You can see little white seed shrimp moving around and little infusoria all around these rotten leaves. There's like a thin layer of like white fungal growth, and just like when you have vegetative stuff growing. And then there's also some algae in between. Yeah, see. And it's interesting. It's very interesting. I'm also seeing some nodes develop on the water lettuce, and I'm really wondering if it's a mycorrhizal relationship because there are these little nodes, if you can see that, on the end of some of the roots that where it's just thicker and then it'll grow longer and that goes away. And actually I pulled part of the node casing off. But I'm curious if anybody else has noticed that. But these red root floaters are not just like, they're not just, a little plant anymore like these are. Let's zoom back out. They're actually like one whole mass. So these are above the water. They're out of the water completely. And the water lettuce has little flowers that are budding yellow, and they've all done it. This one's done already. That one's done already. This one finished that one, but that one's still open. And they're kind of interesting looking. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with this tank as far as seeing what's going to grow out immersed, what's making it out of like this one Ludwigia glandulosa, which is a super red, not the Repin super red, but the glandulosa super red that's made out, or this Anubias fraseri, which almost looks more like a cophifolia. It's got dark green where it's been away from the light, and it actually got burned by the light a bit because the tip curls. But this one, since this leaf's grown really quickly, it's gone straight up pretty much, and because of that, it's gotten like straight on light from this thing. So it's like a bright yellow rather than the dark luscious green. And I thought the dark luscious green was always a good sign, but I'm starting to realize that when it has enough light on it, it doesn't need as much chlorophyll in it. So it doesn't need to pack the leaves full of chlorophyll, and the same plant will redirect the chlorophyll to a dimmer area and put more chlorophyll per square inch in the dimmer area so that it can get the nutrients. But anyways, this is where I put the pencil fish in the other night, about 3 nights ago. So if they had babies, they should be somewhere over here and like the width of an eyelash right now. And we'll see, do I see any over there yet? There are some little things in there, but I don't think they're fish. They're just like little critters. But I am curious if anything comes out of that, because right now I've taken all the fish out of here, and we just have some of the from Grant Eater shrimps, from Garden of Eater shrimps. He sent me some new blue dreams, and so we've got the blue dreams in here, and that's about it. Just plants and blue dreams, and maybe an autosynclus, maybe. I don't even know if that's still in here. Other than that, it's plants and whatever fish I want to rotate through to try to spawn. And then I just leave the heater off or unplugged, and that just keeps it at about 68 to 72. And then because of all the plants and because our water's so soft, it keeps the RO really, it keeps the water close to RO. You can see outside right now, it's sun's starting to come up. The birds have been chirping. And this plant is doing so well. It's so purple. And the papyrus, which is kind of cool, in the morning, it leans this out towards the sunlight rising, and then the sun goes over the house for the day. And then in the afternoon, it tries to reach, this little plant fell over, but it starts to reach this way. So I should try to take a picture of that. And the creeping Jenny kind of does the same thing too, where it curls one way or the other. And again, in this little tank, I am a little concerned about oxygen exchange with that bottleneck at the top compared to if it had, look how big the fish looks. It's just chilling there in the back. But I've just got 5 white clouds in this, like 4 gallons of water basically at the moment. And all that substrate type, deep substrate filtration. Oh, we've got cories that might be breeding soon. They're kind of doing the up and down the glass together thing. And they're just so pretty and so cool when they're those Venezuelan orange and blues when they're young. For the first year or two, they really have a nice color. and then they kind of lose it a little bit. I also want to try to spawn him. Oh, here's a pencil fish. Here's an equus, or actually a unifasciatus is what this one is. But that's one in the light versus the one that was in the dark that had the dot on its side. But this is Rasbo. He's my betta buddy. And sometimes he'll come up to the top and he actually like begs and will like rub against me, which probably isn't great for his slime coat, but I pat him very lightly sometimes after I've washed my hands. And let's go back to the fish room. Do 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 do. So the other surprise that we had in here was the presence of babies in the Enigmatochromis tank. So here we've got the female Enigmatochromis, which when they're not spawning, they're nothing. Hey, you always block the shots, ma'am. This is my big angelfish. She's really old now. I guess she's probably 6. And she's getting to the point where she's not swimming quite straight anymore. But the female that's the main female of the tank, this is her right here. And she's yellow and green with some iridescent blue on her lips and on her paired fins. And then the male is neon yellow and silver on the lower belly, metallic blue on the lips, bronze dots on the anal fin. Even when he's not spawning, he's pretty cool looking. He's like a metallic rainbow of a fish. And these are the ones that Lawrence Kent brought back. If you guys are friends with him or know him, if you're friends with him on Facebook, he's actually in Africa right now collecting fish in Cote d'Ivoire. And he was just in Tanzania, and before that he was in Liberia, and he's going back to Liberia in 2 days. That guy goes all over the place. But these fish, I've had them for a year and a half, and I used to really pamper them and change the water in here, do 50% water changes every week, or 30% every, or like 30% every week, or 50% every 2 weeks, something like that. And only the one species in here, and fed them all the highest quality food. And as I was saying last week, I switched over to both Tetracolor flakes and granules. And, I still give them fancy bloodworms and Daphnia and frozen stuff every now and then, but not so often. And the other day when I was just sitting here, these are a mouth-brooding species. We know that much, even though they don't have a full Latin name. They definitely have the Latin genus of Hoplochromis, but this specific one from the Malungu collection point is not known. And then these are the babies, which they have to be real tough to put up with their parents. As soon as their parents are done with them in the mouth, they spit them out and hunt them down, basically. But yeah, the babies, I was surprised because there seemed to be about 9 when I step back from the tank, but it's so much algae and debris from the mess these guys kick up, because they make nests. So they like take the mulm and gravel and everything. I put sand in it not that long ago, and this is how quickly they eat the plants and create mulm, and they'll tear it up. The male tears the hornwort apart, tears bulbitis. I've had to, like, hornwort is pretty much the only plant that survives in here, and kabamba. But they'll strip it of the needles and make these mounds of debris, and I think that's where they lay their eggs, because he'll defend those mounds to the death, basically. And yeah, here's the female. She's pretty colorful, like she might have spawned recently or is getting ready to spawn again. But again, I don't know where all the babies are. This female has a little cave, and there's just the one male in there. And the babies really hide at night. In the day, they seem to come out at the most. Midday is kind of when they come out the most. But they lay low right in the corners and cracks and crevices of this tank. They know that their parents are cranky, that's for sure. They've definitely kind of taken over this area too. Like if I take a a net and touch any of these plants, like 5 or 6 of these babies shoot out of here. So kind of interesting. This one took me about a year to get them to spawn, but they finally did. So finally did something right by neglecting them and ignoring them in the end. Uh, so yeah, and then let's take a look over here, and we'll take a look at your questions or concerns, your thoughts. So it looks like it's strobing a little bit, and that's just because the power is probably not on. Yep, the power was off from full by one little click. And I've been using Aquarium Co-op fry food. I buy it in bulk, but they come in these bottles, and it's basically just ground salmon meal and other protein sources. It's like 50% protein. There is filler in it still, but it's a pretty good fry food, and it keeps the little fish like CPDs grazing, whereas none of it is big enough that it really causes much ammonia, nitrite buildup in the long term. Especially if you just feed like a little layer of it, they'll all feed on it, and then like look at these sparkling gouramis. I wish you could see how they are colored up in real time, in real life. They're bright yellow and red. These two males must have been going at showing off, because they are, I've actually never seen them this beautiful, these little sparkling gouramis. I've never seen so much color in them. I'll have to get photos of that after the live stream, because there's red, there's yellow, there's blue, there's green. I mean, they're an incredibly iridescent little fish. And then when you look at them for a while, they're kind of red. And I was waiting. Oh, do we have spawning going on here? So check this out. Here's a male and a female inlay loach. Here's the male. And here's the female. And they were just nuzzling in the grass to the ground. We might have spawning. It is early morning. And that's when loaches tend to spawn, is in the early morning. But they're definitely all vivid for each other, with the red in the female's tail. She's definitely full of eggs. Look at her belly. She's got a lot of eggs in there, I'm sure. And then we've got the male loach. There's actually 2 males in here. And they always have that little crook in their spine, which is another interesting little tidbit, I guess. And then we've got the glow light danios, the erythromicrons, the thick-lipped gouramis, and the celestial pearl danios. And again, we put Malawa shrimp in here. Here's both male loaches. Oh, and then we have Rosie Loaches in here too. And the Rosie Loaches I'd never kept before. I just never been that interested in them. Yeah, I think she might be. She was just twitching in the grass and acting like she might be laying eggs. So she may be laying eggs. I should probably leave her alone. But their little Rosie Loaches are another really amazing little fish from Lake Inlay that's beautiful in here. And you know, since I put the sparkling gouramis in, I don't see too much of the Rosie Loaches. I see more sparkling gouramis showing off than the loaches. But the Rosie Loaches are very, very delicate looking little fish. And there's one right now. There's an orange one. They're like orange or champagne colored most of the time, but they can turn like blood orange, like a dark red to orange tone. And then the females are these little speckled ones here, and you can see that male zipping around the female. You know, the interesting part about all of Lake Inlay species is they're all red. They're all red or orange. What is a good tall red plant to replace my dwarf aquarium lily? Tank is dirted and has no CO2, but medium light. You know, I would say a Ludwigia repens super red is a good one. These are not bad, although they're a little hard to get started sometimes, but Crip Sporalis red or Crip Sporalis red tiger. The red tiger doesn't have any green on it. It just has uh, dark red or burgundy, and then like an auburn kind of red. Whereas the Crip Sporalis red has these green centers to the leaves. Kind of interesting. Those are good ones. They under a lower light, they don't stay so dense and skinny. The leaves get, like here, you can see one that's farthest away from the light. They get bigger, and they get more of this kind of like wood grain pattern that they call tiger. But yeah, they sell tissue cultures of those. Also, these are beautiful, and they only bloom for a few days. But the Bacopa, that's Colorado back in the corner, and this is Monieri. But they have these really cool blue flowers, and I've shown this a few times, but the flowers are really tricky. They come out of these nodes that don't look like bulbs whatsoever, or buds whatsoever. They put out a little pistil. Let's zoom in. They put out a little pistil for pollinating here, and then they're actually like a clam or like two sheets of paper or two little ovals. They split open, but they look like leaves, and I don't know that if that's so nothing eats the buds. But then the leaf or the flower only comes out and exists for maybe a day to 3 days, and then it falls into the water and melts away. And once in the water, they literally dissolve like within probably 12 hours, very quickly. Very delicate little thing. You know, another not bad red plant. I mean, obviously the dwarf lilies are great. But another low light one or lower tech one would be the Axelrodi Crips. Crip, also Crip undulata, which you can find in Petco and PetSmart sometimes. It's got like a nice red tone to it, but it's kind of bronze on one side too. But then there's also Ludwigia repens, which naturally has these purple and red tones to them. Let's see what else. Oh, by the way, all these guys, you can see that female is so full of eggs. I feel so bad that these fish spawn like every month on cue because of how often I trigger the wet season in this tank. Like right now, we're doing dry season. And then I'll fill it for a few days, it'll be wet season. I'm trying to get my samurai gouramis to spawn finally. I've had them make bubble nests a few times, and there's a female. She's got kind of tiger stripes that show up when she's spawning. Right now she's definitely not. But they're a type of chocolate gourami, and they're full grown, these ones. And the males have more of a checkered, like, hexagon pattern in their tail. Also, we've got the little catfish from Lake Inlay too, the little glass cat variety. He's not in the inlay tank because for some reason he doesn't like soft water. And then we've got the Panchax orange chin Killy, who is probably hunting shrimp like a little brat in here, but he acts very strange at night, and there's copepods that live in here, so he might just be hunting the copepods, but it wouldn't surprise me if he was hunting the cherry shrimp that are in this tank, which, you know, they were doing really well. There were tons of them in here, like probably 40 or 50 of them, and recently I've noticed there's like 10 that I can find in here, so I should probably pull them. I think their time is done as far as the days of peace. Then we got the red cap Madakas, and up here we've got rainbow shiners, which I'm getting ready to put outside any day now. And here they are up here. No filter or anything on this. Oh, I guess there's an air stone in it, but no filter on this tank. There's an air stone running in this tank. And in this tank, there's nothing running. These are just the Scarlet Batis. And then there's also the Beta Minopina, but they both seem to stay on their own side. And here we've got a female Batis. People ask me a lot, like, how do you spot a female Batis? Well, they have no color, and you can see the yellow eggs in their belly. Oftentimes, like in this one, we can see that she's got eggs. And if you look carefully, they're on either side of her, and actually she only has one side full of eggs right now. The other side is not. So her left side doesn't have eggs, her left oviduct doesn't have eggs, and her right one does. So hopefully she laid eggs, and the male is guarding this tower, and there's two females. There's one up here, and there's one that hangs out on the backside down there. And I got down to no females when I had my hybrid Higginsoni or Malaysian Beta, or Batis in with Scarlet Batis females, and he kept killing them all. So I had to give up on that project. He killed a total of 5 or 6 females. He went through all my females, which is a bummer. But yeah, this little Batis has actually, the male has kind of spun the algae into these weird chains. Like, he'll get them in his mouth and then he'll swim around in circles. I'll have to film him doing that because it's really funny to watch. It looks like he's running around a maypole or something. But yeah, he's probably looking at a scud or something right now. When they do have babies, they should appear just down in the low water at first. Just extremely tiny, like half the length of that little leaf thing you're seeing green with the white dot in it. They're like probably half that length and about as big as an eyelash. And so this tank needs to have all that algae infusoria type stuff going on in it, or they won't survive. Also, all the baby rice fish that are from the red caps and the platinums, they're in here. And since every platinum has the platinum, it always turns out platinum, I put the red caps in here with them because the red caps, only some of them come out that way. And really you want to see which ones come out that way because only the ones that show off the trait have it. It's a dominant trait, or co-dominant. So there's that. And then also here are more of my Malawa shrimp just chilling. Here we got a big old pregnant female. Wow, she's big. She's a really big one for these shrimp. She's probably 1.5 inches long. I don't see them get that big most of the time. But here you can see the kind of color variants that are natural, the kind of bluish clear. There's kind of a tan clear and kind of a yellowy clear or greenish clear on this one and kind of a bluer tone on this one. Well, those are the natural ones. And then there's the ones that I've been separating for years, trying to get strains of their own. I'll read your questions in a moment. But let's pull them out and take a look at what they're looking like in their blue tank. And the weird thing about the blue strain is it still throws red, but the red strain doesn't throw blue at all. Yeah, like check this out. This is a Malawa, and she's pregnant. I need to get her. She looks like she could be a cherry shrimp. Like, check her out when we take a look at her. She is so red. She's so red. Let me get a shot of her. Yep. So she's super red for a Malawa, and she's full of babies. So she's going in the red tank. And in here are the reddest of the red that have come from the blue colony. And we'll see how they do. Usually they do fine in these little tanks. I haven't really checked on them in a while, so maybe I should right now. This fell in there. But I just toss a little bit of fish food in here every now and then. And they've been living on the floor of the fish room for a while. But yeah, I still see some in here. I mean, I see them in here. And they're probably in their little hide too. Yep, they're all kind of coming out of the hide as I move it. So the reds are in here. When they're real stressed, they don't have any color, the reds or the blues. But that one was just extremely red. So let's try to find some blues, because it's been a labor of love to separate reds from blues for years, and the blues didn't even appear as a color morph until the reds had been around for a long while. And let's see here. I don't even see that many right now. Usually they're all over the place in here. So we've got kind of a normal... Oh, we got another red one in here. So I'm going to grab him. Grab him and put him aside. Alright. And there's a blue. So there's one of the blue ones. They're a nice sky blue, but at times they'll color up like as much as a blue really, or a blue diamond, or blue dream, whatever you want to say. Pick a blue Neo Carradina. And the other cool thing is, a lot of times they'll have, let's try to get this blue one in the net. So it's going to be stressed, so it's going to look grayish blue. But this one has these really interesting patterns that are... Oh, it climbed out, of course. Well, in any case, they have these patterns on a lot of them that are like white dots that have started to form on the blue ones. So let's see if we can get a couple in a clearing, and then I'll stop moving stuff around. See if we can actually zoom in on some blue ones eating. Maybe I should try putting some food in, right? That would probably help. Or overturning some of the little logs under here where all the sawassertang and everything is. Alright, let's see. And they're by far way bluer in when they're not in the light. Like the ambient daylight, they're a lot more blue. Whereas if the light's been on a long time, they kind of turn a paler blue. But it's something that it's a strain that it's a species that nobody is working with, to my knowledge. And I'm going on 6 years, so I'm really hoping to get these to turn into something interesting. Let's put some little wafers in the tank for them. At least for the cories. And plecos. And then in here we've also got Rhamnocentris and Kochus Tetras and the multi-line border loaches, or dwarf multi-bar loaches as they're called sometimes. And those have been spawning too. This tank didn't have a filter for a really long time, for like a year. And they spawned when that happened. Go figure, who knows why. The world may never know. There's also Rhamnocentris in there. Alright, I need to read the chat. I'm doing a terrible job at that. Let's look at a different tank, and I will read the chat. The chat. Let's talk about the chat. Alright. What? You stream when it's daytime for Europe? Yes, Master Black. Yes, indeed. Alright, I'm sure I'm way behind, but... you like to imagine I'm up all night tweaking, huh? Yeah, not really. More like my back is tweaked, so I'm up all night. That, and I have a project I'm working on, and I figured whatever. Yes, all my Angelfish tickets to space are attention-seeking princesses. Pisces, what's going on? Alishon, what's going on? Thomas again, have you ever come across a split-tailed female guppy? I've got one. It's an Endler guppy cross. That's what I've also found, is that they have to be a cross between an Endler and a guppy. But it's usually not a real good lyre tail. Usually it's more of a split kind of tail that's just not super split. I really love that light screen background on this tank. Said that before, but the pink really sets it off. You know, actually, it's not a background on that tank. It is just the wall, but it's just the way the light refracts off of the this light. This is one of those high-powered lights like I have on that other tank in the other room with all the red root floaters. Oh, look, we do have spawning. That is what's going on. Both males are courting that female, and they're going to spawn. I'll have to stay up and keep an eye on them. Half the time I'm awake, it's because I'm waiting on fish. Because I insist on having natural spawning. It's way more work when you do this. But basically, I'm waiting for them to spawn somewhere. And if I lay here in this bed that I have here on the futon, hopefully I won't fall asleep. And if I watch them and I see her lay the eggs and the males are right there to fertilize, hopefully I can swoop in and steal them, because this is another species that I don't think has ever been recorded being spawned in captivity. They're loaches, and so they're fickle with their spawning. However, I figured that Lake Inlet, since there's no inlet or outlet really, I mean there's a couple inlets that are creeks of rain flow. It looks like she's kind of making a nest right here, or like a divot in the sand here and here. Um, but because there's no outlet in the stream, I figured that there would be some point that they just spawn in the lake. And so we'll see. They seem to be trying out different areas. You know, she had me on the counter, it wasn't me. Then she had me on the sofa, it wasn't me. Well, these fish are trying out every freaking surface, I guess, before they pick somewhere to spawn. But yeah. So it's a good thing you mentioned the pink hue that shows up on the wall behind this tank most of the time. It's only when you look at it straight on. It's blue from this angle a lot of times. But back to the blue-lipped Ivan Stolfi. Ah, Pete, what's going on? G'day. Discordia creates. I hope I'm not here 5 seconds before the stream ends. YouTube refuses to notify me when you're live, but insomnia is acting up bad. Oh, you noticed. Well, I'm sorry about your insomnia, but I'm glad that you're doing that you're here. Can plants get old? Dwarf aquarium. Wait, can plants get old? My dwarf aquarium lily was doing great for about 2 years. I moved it and it died back. Yes, especially any bulb plants, they will often die. They'll often die and need a season, basically to dry up or to not have any vegetation in order to resprout. But yeah, the Malawa shrimp are spelled Malawa, Malawa, and they're from the island of Sulawesi, and they are the coolest thing as far as shrimp go, in my opinion. As far as like versatility, cleaning, they just spawn a lot. They have a lot of babies. They have probably 20 to 30 babies at once. They can be in 8.0 pH water, or they can be in 6.0 pH water. Their TDS really doesn't matter. So I really love Malawa shrimp. So I really actually put them in a lot of tanks as just a food source. Like I'll put 5 in there that are pregnant that I get out of either this tank or that tank or that tank. And I'll put them in the other tanks. I'll put 5 or 6 pregnant females in. Oh, these guys are spawning too. So these are the Samphongsi Rasboras. Let me not get too close because they're exhibiting mating behavior. I haven't ever recorded this, but these are the ones that there were only 3 left of the species. And is that the longfin one? Remember, I got a longfin one, but this is what their mating looks like. See, the male is trying to entice the female. Female's got the bigger belly. I might have to move everyone out of this tank for the sake of what they're doing right now and move them over a tank. Yes, that is the longfin one. That is the only longfin morph ever in the world that's been spotted, confirmed. I've been on forums and I've talked to some of the Germans that are breeding them. Nobody has seen a longfin variant. And I happened to luck out and get this sole longfin Samphong Rasborai. And right now, he appears to be spawning with the females. They're in there with blue Axelrodi Sunda Danios, the neon blue dwarf Rasbora. And again, here they are doing their little mating dance. And what'll happen is they'll scatter eggs, and their eggs are tiny, 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 like as small as grains of sand. And their babies need infusoria, infusoria, infusoria. And you know, this tank, because of the amount of snails and little copepods, seed shrimp, other stuff that's in here, and all the nano fish, it's seasoned to like perfection, to the point where the algae's even cleared up on the side that faces right outside to the window half the day. And so I think I'm gonna have to take all these baby, or not babies, but all these nano fish out of here, and chili rasboras and green pencil fish and the other scarlet batis. So I'm gonna need to put them in another tank, figure something out, because those are spawning, and those are the ones that there were only 3 left of that are native to Thailand, and there were 3 left, and Aquarium Glazer got them to spawn, and they've never been found in the wild again since the 70s, but some were found in 2014, I think it was, and everything you see in the hobby is because of those few that were spawned, those 3 or whatever that spawned. So pretty crazy story. Also, probably why we have a mutation in the population with those long fins that we saw on that one. I know it's hard to see them live, but man, we got a lot of activity going on tonight. I'm glad that I stayed up to watch what was going on in here. We also got these little African gold barbs in here, and I've never had them actually have babies. But I think after these Samphong Rasbora, after tonight, if I can figure out where to put them, because it's pretty clear that they're scattering eggs and breeding. They're going all over the tank, and the males doing the little dance, and then the females' stomachs are noticeably smaller than they have been in the last few days. But still, they still have a few eggs to get out of there. Like that's one of the males right there. But this is my all of the smallest of the small nano fish tank, and it's also one of my older tanks. It's probably 5 years set up now without a substrate change or anything, and so I'm sure there's lots of little infusoria in there, but the algae and stuff, it just doesn't happen anymore because it's a very low light tank, and there's plenty of plants and other stuff. There is some algae at the top sometimes, but I think I'll probably need to grab some of the water lettuce or something like up here, and some of these protein films off of this pond or this tank, and the ones that are kind of melting, those will make infusoria just like broccoli or kale or squash or any of that stuff. So I'll put those up there probably, and they'll break down, and hopefully these Samphong Rasboras that are doing their mating dance, hopefully they actually did lay eggs, or are laying eggs. There's the longfin one right there. But they've been doing the little swim beside each other dance that they do. And they have this beautiful iridescence that never shows up. You can kind of see it there, but especially in natural light or in really tannic water, they're an awesome fish. So they're one I'd really love to breed, but especially if I could get some long fins out of these, man, that would be cool. And that is the long fin one there with the veil tail gene, which again, it's really not easy to see right now. Let's see if we move the light. Let's move the light so that they spawn in a different spot anyways. They don't like high light, so they should move to the darker spots. But I hate how these streams just kill the natural, the very light tone variations, and it kills the red spectrum is what it really does, these live streams. But there you can see its long tail on the long fin variant. It's got veil tail. I've posted pictures of it, I think, in the Facebook group. But okay, back to comments. Now that we know that's going on, also we've got some baby Carradina shrimp, thanks to Grant Eater. Also, we've got these ones, which are a mix, I think. Come on, focus. Let's just not even zoom in. Let's see how that does. Um, I think these ones, it doesn't want to focus on them. There's lots of babies on the glass too, and it screws up the focus between the reflection and the babies all over the glass. But um, these guys, if we take a look, uh, they are. We've got some of the steel, the blue steel in here. Well, these ones are what happened when we mix the blue stardust. See, can we get that in focus ever? It's so hard to get a green shrimp in focus, a clear green shrimp in focus. So these are a mix of the stardust blue and the tangerine is what I'm almost positive it's a mix of. But they all came out as green, and I need to talk to Grant because they're all like a green with kind of the cheetah pattern, but not really, and they have some banding too. And then the raccoon uh, shrimp that either spawned with a cheetah or a tangerine has these ones, which are more like a wild color, but they have banding like the raccoons did, except it's broken into like spots. So I'll need to take some pictures up close of everything. So Grant, who knows the lines and everything better, can let me know what's going on. Let's see. Can you guys see these now? Maybe better. Tangerines show up well. Yeah, those natural green hued ones don't, and nor do the young cherry Rileys or Rillies, or the cheetahs for that matter. What is going on? So hard to see them. The other bummer thing is my black Madakas have not had eggs ever since I've had them for 3 months or whatever. That's a bummer. This crazy guppy with the crazy dorsal fin. I just want that dorsal fin replicated, so I put him in here. But he's in with all blonde genetic endlers and guppies. The females are blonde genetics too. And so that gives you this kind of yellowish golden hue with the blue eyes and kind of the oranges and yellows. It's kind of like leucistic, but then I just need him and his beautiful dorsal fin here to pass off. And then if they had that dorsal fin on this fish, oh, I'd be so happy. That's going to take a while to figure that out. All right, let me skip down to whoever's here. Connor, what's up? Seth, what's up? Carol Cox, hello. Morning from West Virginia. Hello, hello, hello. Crip Keeper, also hello. And let's see here. I'm trying to breed pygmy Corridoras. Is there any kind of fish that can live with them while they breed, or should they live alone? They can be with other fish for sure. They can be with little tetras that are midwater swimmers, or they can be with other cories. However, cories do tend to eat other cories' eggs, so I would keep an eye on that. But also any sort of like topwater fish, like if you got anything like gouramis, they're probably not going to bug them. Rainbow fish like pseudomagills or threadfins or lamp eyes, a lot of the killifish type of rainbow fish, they should be okay. They hang out up higher. Even guppies and stuff, they tend to hang out. Guppies and endlers tend to hang out higher, and even a betta, honestly. Like here we've got a female betta and a male betta, and they both happen to be blue, which is nice. Out of 9 bettas in this tank, we got a matching pair that looks like they're hot for each other. Although I turned the filter off for the stream because this one is like a waterfall. The way I've got it set up, it just falls and splashes into this tank. And yeah, it's really loud. But at the same time, I thought that when the filter was off that maybe we'd get some egg nest building from all the different bettas that are in here. But really, they're just like picking a corner and hiding. Like there's 2 in that corner. And then there's this little male who's ready. And I don't know where the other female went. She was blue and she was hanging out here a minute ago. But they tend to go into the back corner. Let's see. Let's see if those shrimp popped up yet. Yar, have the blue molluas popped up yet? Well, the banded border loaches and the cories have popped up and decided to make themselves known. The orange Venezuelans, and then here's the banded. Well, if I move it too quick, they'll get scared. But the Kochus Tetras, they're pretty old now too. Oh, and there's the Radnocentris up there. That's a Radnocentris rainbow fish. Those can withstand the cold, and that's Bob Steamthoughts' kind of favorite one. But we've got a little pellet here. Oh, there's the multi-lined loaches there. I tend to like the loaches that look least loachy. They look almost like darters or something instead, but you can see they've still got the whiskers. Silver Creek Aquarist, what's up? Pygmy cories, they like to, most cories, in fact, almost all cories, like to spawn on the glass, but they'll also use a smooth, like, slate. If you get some sort of slate stone, they'll enjoy spawning on that. There are some that bury their eggs in the substrate if it's silty or sandy. I've just read that and heard that from other breeders. I don't know which ones would do that off the top of my head, but I just am aware that there are some species that like sand. But generally, if you have stone coming out of sand anywhere in the tank, they'll be fine. Yeah, here's some of the blue Malua. They're kind of a light gray right now because it's so bright in here. But I've got pictures up on my Facebook, and I think in the Facebook group. But yeah, those are all the blues. And it's, again, we're kind of just checking to see what colors the fish are, what patterns are going on, who's spawning when you wake them up this time of day. Usually the lights click on at like 2 p.m. in my fish room. So 4 a.m., it's interesting to see like spawning colors on fish that aren't anywhere near their mates and other fish that are spawning. But I am getting really hot, so let me take my jacket off real quick. Hold on, let me set you guys down for a moment. Alright, let me show you how I work for you. I'm sweaty. It's a cool 85 in here when it's hot in here. So we'll have to cool it down. This morning, I think it's about 55 degrees outside. So I just opened the window right here where my infusorias are. Hey, look at this, by the way. I'll have to get better at growing Venus flytraps, but my Venus flytrap totally died as soon as I put it by the window. It lasted maybe 3 days. So don't do that, apparently. Hey, the Lucanzi's out. The Enigmatochromis Lucanzi male is out. I don't know where his female is. They're almost always together most of the day. And they're almost always huddled and hiding under here. I don't see her. Where is she? Where are you, pretty girl? Are you by your man? Are you standing by your man? Stand by your man. Yes, she is. She's hiding over here. Not in spawning color or anything, though, so I'm not anticipating much. But that would be a good place to spawn if they switched up. I mean, they have the perfect place. They dug a trench in the sand and then literally oriented the caves around it. Oh, look, the goby's up. The dragon goby's up and hungry. We better get him some scuds and watch him feed. Let's see here. Let's go to the scud mobile. Alright. I don't even have to see. I don't even have to be looking usually to get some scuds. Yeah. So we got some scuds. I don't want that many. I need him to be eating only the fattest and healthiest of scuds. I like to hunt scuds from the shrimp tank first, but this is the backup supply for the elastomas and stuff. You know, since I put all this stuff in here, it's actually making it harder to catch them. I mean, yeah, there's a few in every turkey baster out of here, but I don't really want to have to change the chemistry of the water. So catching a few each time is annoying. I'm gonna have to take the amount of plant matter out of here because we got a few each time. But normally when I've only got one or two plants hanging out in here, I'll be able to catch about a dozen with each turkey baster squeeze. But I guess we just need one for the process here. Ooh, that is a giant planaria. This is some stanky water, though. My wife definitely hates that I keep these. Maybe I won't be sampling scuds. I need to get like 3 or 4 in one that are adults out of here for the little dragon goby every day. Ideally. He will eat Fluval granules every once in a while, like when he's real hungry. Maybe I've just kicked this up too much. They hang out right at the substrate. And yeah, there we go. I was gonna say normally I can't miss them, but here we go. So let us feed Mr. Bagger. He is a bagger. And he will come to the beck and call of the scud delivery. Come here. Boom, you got it. That was quick. Boom, you got the other one. Okay. I'm going to try to save some water because, you know, little bowl over here. Keep the pH the same. So we got 2 out of there. And usually I can find another scud somewhere in the shrimp tank, especially early in the morning and stuff. Hey, now it's focusing on them better. Probably because the sun's finally coming up. But now maybe we'll see. I can show you guys. Because I also hunt for any planaria. Like, I don't know if that's a planaria or a piece of grass or something, but I don't want to take the chance and find out. So it goes over into the medacas, and they love planaria. They're pretty feral medacas that I have, apparently, because they seem to just love anything that I give them. Here's a little scud. Can I catch him, or is he going to burrow? Now, I also have, it's interesting, I have red scuds, and I have green scuds. And I'm sure there's some little difference in their species, but I don't know what it is. They look identical in every other way. Here is one of those little blue, by the way, one of the blue Stardust that from Grant Eater that I got, shrimp. And some of its babies are in there too. And then one of the little tangerine, one of the Reillys or Rileys. Hey, now you can see the babies. And the babies are just all over this tank. And then we've got the Carradinas that are the raccoon Carradinas right here. And we've got the bolts. And then on the glass, which, it's still not focusing on the green. But the different color, we've got the Cheetah Shrimp too, which are right here, and they're a very cool, like they've got spots and lines and different colors depending on the angle and everything. They're very similar to Malawa Carradina, But Malawa are just not fragile. These ones are still semi-fragile. They still just, you can't just toss them in any water. You need to be doing RO and then remineralizer, or just very, very soft water, um, like this. See, there's only a few pieces of coral in here and some snail shells and stuff. And then it's Brightwell or Fluval stratum that I keep my shrimp on usually. And I like to keep them and not have to worry about remineralizing, so that I just keep this. There it is. Now you guys can see these. These are really interesting. I need Grant to see these, but I've got about 15 of these green shrimp now, 10 or 15 probably, that I think were born first of all the shrimp he got me. And I think they were a mix between the tangerines, these ones, and the blue stardust. Where's the blue stardust? I've only got a few of them, but they're really pretty. Anyways, yeah, here comes another one of the greens. But they're kind of cool. They have like a natural pattern on them too. Some banding and some dots, and then they're green. They kind of look like Babalti shrimp, honestly. That's what they really look like, is Babaltis. Here's another one that's less green, but same deal. And then there goes another one. Yeah. So they're around. And there's a blue stardust right there. And she's saddled now. That's good. It's weird though. In the day, I find scuds in here pretty easily. Anything I move in here, I'll find 1 or 2 scuds a day. And I keep them at bay just by feeding the little goby up there with them whenever I see them. The other thing I'm curious about, if anybody's seen this, when I kick up any substrate in my shrimp tanks, I see these little perfectly round balls. See these? And I don't know if they're scud eggs or if they're, some other type of like paramecium or even like planaria type eggs. Some are bigger, some are smaller. But when I kick it up, you can see the little spheres. Yeah, and they're really light in the water. And I've left them in containers of water to see what they are, thinking they would hatch, but they haven't. So I don't know. Maybe they're inert, but I don't know what they are. Maybe that's how some creature poops. Perfect little spheres, like a wombat, and how they poop in cubes. I don't know. Let's see if now that we can see everything better with the natural light coming in finally, is daytime. There's that long fin right up there. See how it's got the veil tail and the long high fin? Well, they were spawning not long ago, and I'm trying to see if there's any females with eggs left. That one may still have some eggs. But if I just sit still and maybe answer your questions again for once, we'll see if they start doing their spawning motion again or what. But there's the long fin one up at the top. And I've got, I think, 6 in here. There's the long fin one. And that is the female that I think has eggs left that he's with. Are they gonna, yep, they're gonna rub against each other, and then he's gonna vibrate side to side. See, oh, there you can see his long fins really well there now, guys. Check that out. So that's the only longfin Rasbora. Well, I mean, out of all the Rasboras, I've only seen like 1 or 2 pictures of some chili Rasboras that had the long fin variant. Never seen any others, let alone the Samfong, which the Samphongsi Rasbora, like I said, there were only 3 left in the world less than 10 years ago, and they were bred back from what was believed to be extinction in the 1970s in the city of Bangkok. They lived in Bangkok city limits in this. Those are spawning. Yeah. So I'm waiting to see with my with my naked eye if I can watch the eggs fall, because these little fish are pretty tricky. When they spawn, they tend to just rub against each other, and then she'll let one go. She definitely has eggs too. So I want to make sure that they have ample time to spawn before I start trying to catch every nano fish out of this tank and just letting everything chill. But yeah, so let's just keep an eye on this for a minute. Then we'll take a look at the bleached food pellets. No, springtails. Maybe it's springtails, but I don't know. It's definitely not food pellets. I don't feed them anything in that tank really, other than once in a while I'll give them some fry food or like a little piece of some other flake food or something. I really don't feed this tank much, and that's been a key to keeping the TDS very stable too, is just not mucking with it. I've never had such success with Carradina, and I don't know if it's just thanks to Grant's lines that live in Florida's hard water, but either way, I just don't want to mess it up, so I just haven't changed anything. And by giving them small amounts of food, they all seem to be doing fine. All their sheds seem to be healthy. So let's see if this female is gonna pair up with that male. There's the longfin dead center again. He's the $1 million unicorn. If we could get longfin and start raising, spawning them with each other so their fins get long. That's about as long as I want their fins, quite frankly. I mean, I feel like they would have a hard time moving around otherwise. There goes an egg. A couple of them. That was like 3 or 4 eggs all together in a little group. Yep, here you go. There goes the other male. Showing off. So I don't know that this has been documented. Not that it's a super common species, obviously. But the problem is, as they're doing this, as they're spawning, even their own yeah, look what's in his mouth. He's got the eggs in his mouth already. And these guys are waiting down below. And even another Samphong Rasbora is. So it's good to know that they like these water conditions. I don't need to put them into super black water to spawn them. But, I mean, I will need to probably get a lot more leaf litter in the future, and or Sawassertong, and literally fill it like to here and lower the water very low so that they don't even have time to look at the eggs to eat as they're falling. But I don't know if they'll spawn without the open water, so it's always a catch-22. I've spawned them in the past, but it's always been in tanks alone, and right now they're kind of in a holding tank, and I'm kind of just observing them and waiting for them to grow up because they weren't quite full grown when I got them. They were very tiny, like half an inch long. Now they're 3/4 of an inch to an inch, and I'd consider that grown. Well, they're definitely sexually mature. You can actually see the eggs in the females' bellies when they move. And you can see up here, these guys are asleep. The chili rasboras, they don't even care about the light. They'll sleep through it. And the amber or ember barbs from Africa, they're pretty chill too. They'll hang out in the dark together in a little shoal or school, doing their own thing. Whereas the axelrodi and the pencilfish and the pencilfish, see, they hide here. A lot of times they'll tilt themselves at an angle, and that's kind of how they'll hang out when they're sleeping. But let's take one last look over. And now the question is too, do I turn the lights on for the day, just leave them on? Or do I turn them off again? Okay, cool. So we got another loach that's going to be spawning now too. So these guys spawn all the time and their babies just don't survive in this tank. I need to give them their own setup. I need to give so many fish their own setup, and I just don't have room already. But that's a little male Rosie Loach, and he's all colored up orange, and I know oranges don't show up well here. Like, let's look at a red solo cup. The reddest thing you can see for comparison. Kind of helps with the red toning. Kind of shows you how orange these gouramis are. Not perfectly though, but they're so bright right now. Everybody's in the mood for love. And again, these sparkling gouramis, look at them. They're just incredible. Now that we've got some daylight in here, you can actually see the iridescence on them. And these two males are trying to show off for the females who are hiding down below somewhere in here. They keep zipping around. And then the Rosie Loach male and female are doing their little dance. And I don't know where the big loaches went, where the big lake inlay loaches went. But these are probably the prettiest I've ever seen sparkling gouramis look. I've never seen them with yellow and orange. But I've never had them in a lake inlay tank either. And this is really like their area, their spawning ground. Boy, these guys are going at it. Graphic, guys. They are always laying eggs in the tank, those little Rosie Loaches. I'll have to try to spawn them soon. It must just be that their babies get eaten, but they seriously do this like every night when you have a male and a female. The females are kind of hard to find in the stores because the males are so much brighter and more colorful. They're like bright orange, champagne color. But just the fact of having a male and female together, it's way better for their color and for the activity to have both genders. If you just have males, they're really boring. They don't even fight or compete for attention. And there you go. She just laid some eggs. So she's laying eggs right now. And he's fanning away. And they're just scattering away. You can see the little eggs. They're super tiny. These fish are not even an inch long. Very cool. Yeah, super. Oh, she just literally ate an egg as she laid it. She laid an egg and then swam over it and ate it. Hey, Welvina Fish Clan. Hello, welcome. And now see, these guys smell that there's eggs and they want some too. And meanwhile, she'll go lay eggs all over the tank. I can't imagine how many babies this species must be having all the time. Because every morning they do this ritual. Also, the sparkling gouramis, like I said, I don't know if you guys can see the yellow in their... I've never seen them with yellow and orange in their color pattern, as well as all the normal pattern colors. So they're just a very nice color. The females are down here hiding, and they don't have as much yellow or orange in their pattern as over here. The males have a lot of detail in their fins, a lot of spots. All I need to get is go get my SLR and go get some good pictures. There's another female inspecting the males, seeing how the boys are doing. And you know, I don't know where the lake inlay loaches went. They're pretty big, so we don't know where the red-tailed lake inlay loaches went. They looked like they were making a spawning spot right over here, but they never sealed the deal. Up here we've got all the CPDs and erythromicrons. Definitely lake... Oh, there's the loach. There's the female loach right back in there. So I don't know where the male... Oh, there's the male. The female is right there, wedged in between that rock. And they were spawning earlier, and I don't know where they ended up doing it. But if you were here earlier, you saw them spawning too. Yeah, Discordia, I agree. Some pea gravel or glass marbles, or even like, you know, just river rocks that are round, is probably what I'll have to do and move them. But the thing is, when I've put them in hill stream tanks, I've never gotten so much spawning activity as I'm seeing in this tank with this setup the way it is right now. Like, it's weird. It's highlight. It's, you know, it's all sorts of trouble. See, and that's a baby snail that it just picked up there. A baby ram's horn snail. So I wanted to point out that these loaches also eat baby snails, which is kind of handy. I like that they do that because you can end up with a lot of snails pretty quickly otherwise. And snails will just keep laying eggs like there's no tomorrow otherwise. But yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of spawning activity this morning between this tank and these little thick-lipped gouramis. They're so cool the way they talk to each other. They use their little feeler whiskers, and they always, when they come up to each other, they kind of announce themselves and kind of shake hands with their little feelers. Let's see if they do it here. So this looks like two males. That's the alpha male and a... No, never mind. That's a male and a female. So are they going to talk? Are they going to do anything? Or are they just going to have a bubble off? The male, a lot of times, here's the female that is the prize. She's got the silver on her. That's who he likes the most. Definitely. And then there's this other male who always is lurking, trying to get her attention, but like from the corner of the tank. And both of these guys definitely blow bubbles a lot. So sometimes I'll come in here and there'll be a nest. Um, but I've yet to find eggs in the nest. She's still pretty young, but I can start to see her eggs like in her silhouette under highlight. That's not just her food. Like I didn't feed them recently, so it's actual eggs. Especially as you can see it move up into the kind of the back up the side in a strap kind of shape. Um, but man, are these sparkling gouramis beautiful in this tank and in these water conditions. And the Chopardanios, and now they're doing their morning spawning thing. They do this every morning, and they'll drop quite a few eggs every morning. There's a female, see her big old belly. And the male, if you look at him, here's a male, that longer one there. And the ones with the big stout belly like that are the females. The big kind of breast of fish. Hey, Grant, what's up, dude? I have a question for you, Grant. Let's go back to this tank, not to these guys who were spawning. Hey, there's the long veil tail. Just, can we see the fins well right now? Yeah, we can see them okay. But in these shrimp tank, Grant, early in the morning. So here's the blue stardust. Here's the tangerines. I'm almost positive that they crossed and created these, which I've got about 14 of now. They're growing quick. And they are, let's bring more, let me move around stuff so more things come. They're these green striped, not really dotted that much, but green striped shrimp. They're green, like they've got a very nice babalti green kind of color to them, like a babalti shrimp. Come on, focus. Are we not going to get a focus from this shrimp? So they've got like a yellow color where you can see all their organs and stuff, but then they've got a green and they've got banding on them. And it's like a translucent green for sure. But they've got one stripe on the shoulder, one on the midsection. And I've got a whole bunch of them now. They grew up from the little babies that were from one of the pregnant stardusts. Because when you sent me the fish, or the shrimp, I had a pregnant stardust and a pregnant raccoon. And now the oldest of those babies are these little green guys. So I'm real curious what you think they are. But they have quite a bit of banding, so I guess they could be cheetah. They've got a little bit of the spotting too, but they're definitely a green tone. Definitely like really green sometimes, like as green as a leaf. And then because I'm scared that I'm gonna raise shrimp and mess them up, I put those bolts in here too. So, just curious what you thought, Grant, if you're watching still. Yeah, here's, again, the Stardust, just for color comparison, versus these other weird ones that are green. I think they must be a hybrid. Some almost have orange and blue, it looks like. But in the end, they end up this green tone that these are mostly. They've got stripes, like there we go. Come on, focus. Yeah, but they're green. If I didn't mention that a million times already. Versus the cheetahs, which have like a nice pink color to them. These guys are pretty different. And the Stardust are clearly blue. And the cheetahs, some of them develop these racing stripe lines on their back. So, just curious what you think, Grant, if you're watching. You would say cheetah versus tangerine tiger. Okay, that makes sense. Did any of the iridescent colors come out of the steel coals for you? Not yet. Um, but they haven't shedded completely yet. One shedded, and I think I know what you're talking about, but they haven't really. Wait, cheetah times ghost bees gave me a bunch of green, so the cheetahs have the green genetics for sure. Okay, so maybe it's a cheetah times tangerine tiger. That would make sense. Or the tangerine tiger times the stardust. Yeah, here goes a bunch of greens again. But they're the most prolific of all so far of all the fish or all the shrimp, and they're the oldest. But there is another batch of something in here that's very young still. And one of the new bolts you sent me is also coloring up. And I know that there's nothing scientific about how I'm spawning these, but I'm just excited because I've never had good luck with Carradina, dude. So this is just astonishing to me that I've got a tank with like dozens of Carradina that are all happy. Also, do you know what these little balls are? When you look at in the substrate, do you know what those little balls that come up are? Are they like some sort of, they're perfectly round and they're tan usually. Some are white, some are tan, some are kind of like a orangish color, but they're down at the bottom of the substrate, and I'm wondering if they're scud eggs or what they are. um, Anyways, tried to hatch some for a few weeks but nothing happened. Oh, Purigen. Oh, it could just have come with the shrimp then. Yeah, you're right. I bet that's all it is. And here I've been sitting and racking my brain over what it is. So again, I wanted to catch this since there's the longfin. Only one that we know of in the hobby so far. Longfin Samphongsi Rasbora or Trigonostigma Samphongsi. And they've been spawning all morning. And annoyingly, all the other nano fish, including the axelrodi, have been sitting there waiting to eat as the eggs fall. But assuredly, with 5 females and 2 males, I think is the ratio at the moment, assuredly, that's one of the males with the long fin. The other male is down here. But the longfin male has definitely gotten all the attention from the ladies tonight. So yeah. Oh, they produce live scuds just like other shrimp. Thanks, EJ. I appreciate it. I never bothered to look at that. Look up their life cycle scuds. I guess they are crustaceans, right? Or related to crustaceans, taxonomically. But yeah, so it's been cool to catch them spawning all this morning, and we turned the lights on early just for fun, just to see what would be going on. And we caught the Rosie Loaches and these inlay red tail loaches. She's still got a lot of eggs in her belly. But we watched them dancing all over, and there comes a little male. I bet he's got a female in his little cave, his little hidey hole. But another little Rosie Loach. They are so fun, and people don't talk about these Rosie Loaches that much, but I really like them. I should do a species spotlight on them. They're just a fun fish. There's the female. Came cruising out of the backside of his little grass fort. So hopefully one of these days they'll have some babies that make it. But I need to get them their own situation. So here's that female loach. No line down the body. And male line down the body with red tail. Okay, so last night, on top of, my world seemingly collapsing the last week, last night what happened was my internet went down. So for some reason or another, my my router and modem, whatever. I don't know. That's probably not the right word, but my router for my internet went down, and the extender then went down too, and yeah. So then when I tried to restart the stream, it wouldn't come back up for like 10 minutes. So I don't know what happened to you. Eye booger. Gross. Do I have another eye booger? It's so humid in here. Maybe it's just sweat. But yeah, so it's been a fun night. I've pretty much been in the fish room watching fish, illustrating, and then live streaming this morning. But now that I've got some of you hanging out in here, I wanted to again do a shout out. If any mods are in here, I don't know if there are. Hey Jeff, what's up, man? And yeah, if there are any mods in here, or any of you just want to look at it, the Amazon Research Center, where the fish fam, we're trying to raise $1,000 for them basically over the course of the month. And so there is a link there to Dr. Mazerall or Dr. Anthony, Dr. Awesome, or ARCOF, or the Amazon Research Center for ornamental fish research, which is a place you guys can go and visit in Peru, stay in AC conditioning, air conditioning rooms, lap of luxury for being out near the jungle, and then go out for the day into the jungle and have a collection experience. Come back, ship it out through Lima or through Iquitos, which is where it's at, if you've got the permits and stuff. And yeah, it's one of the only ways. It's one of the only ways that we can get to a place and have someone with a PhD in ichthyology be there guiding us collecting, basically. And I think you need to volunteer and do some work on the place, like 4 hours a day or something, I think is what he said. But you can check out that, or I think you can also just pay to play if you want to do that. But yeah, so I wanted to mention that we're trying to support them because they're opening an education center for the locals there and for kids, and they're opening an aquarium of the Amazon, the only aquarium in the Amazon, basically, in the Peruvian Amazon. And do I have a hickey on my neck? Is code for having a good time, EJ. Yeah. No, everyone thinks this is a hickey, though. It's a birthmark. It's a hole through my sternum, and everyone thinks it's either a birthmark or where they like had to puncture me to like breathe. But basically it's a birthmark because humans have actually false gills in the womb really early on for like, I don't know, 8 weeks or something, and you have, I think it's 12 of them, like 6 here and 6 here. Well, then they get closer together, and then they form into like tissue, and then they help create the front of your chest cavity and bone structure there. But sometimes you'll get, especially in females, sometimes you'll see 2 dots here or up in here. It's rarest to get this combination, which is 1, because it means that they came together and then they just didn't form. But when I was 14, I had to have surgery too, and they had to take some scar tissue out here because it was pushing on my esophagus in the back there, and my trachea had some scar tissue on it, so I was having some pain swallowing. But in any case, they call them angel kisses. Yeah, I can really commit to a story, yeah, to cover up that hickey, for sure. Try me. Oh, we must have a low pressure front coming in because dojo loaches are going cuckoo crazy for Poco Puffs. These are the ones I grabbed out of the lake. In the water, I grabbed from the lake still. They've been in here for about a week. But yeah, they're all going wild. So we must have a pressure change in the weather. I'll have to look online, but it's like clockwork. We usually drop at least 10 millibars every time they go up and down, go wild. Hence why they're also called weather loaches, along with dojo loaches. And there's a jar of my own urine. Or vinegar heels, I mean, one or the other. So, Brian, what's up? Good morning, buddy. He's doing loops too. Nice. Named Leg, I like that. So, again, I'll just say it because I'm probably going to sign off soon here. I've been streaming for 2 hours. I've been up all night, of course, because I don't have anything better to do. No, it's because I'm working with the Amazon Research Center and I'm illustrating a kid's book. And we have 32 pages that I'm trying to illustrate for a coloring/activity book for 6 to 10-year-olds. And I'm trying to get that done by next week. So, if you see bags under my eyes, they're happy bags. They're bags full of happiness. And actually, I'm just getting red because it's so hot in here, too. And I'm so pale that I don't get red. I just kind of turn purple and blotchy. But I wanted to... I'll have to be quiet. My wife's still not up. But I just wanted to remind you guys that below in the description there is a link to the Amazon Research Center fundraiser, and Team Fish Fam is just for us, just for anybody watching this, hearing this message now or on the replay. And I want to show them that we can raise, $1,000 no problem. I mean, it should be no problem if, a few of us fish family and fish tubers all spread the message. We've got a team linked, and it's under either Secret History or Fish Fam. It should display at the top of your page, but the link is in the description here. And it is, you can give $1, you can give 5, but I want to show that like thousands of us could give $1 from the hobby, and this will go towards research naming fish in the Amazon. It's the only center where civilians can go to the Peruvian Amazon and collect fish or check out the research work and help out with the research work and help out with aquaponics and aquaculture. It's really cool work they're doing. They don't pay anybody as far as like where your money's going. As far as a non-profit, there is nothing that, I mean, they spend their own money on. Dr. Anthony and his wife are retiring later and spending their extra money there. So yeah, and it's any case, yeah, it's the link is in the description if you want to check it out, and you can tour the center, whatever, online, like all the plans, all the things they do for the local community, which is also trying to help employ 10,000 Peruvians that are in the aquatic fish, ornamental fish trade, catching fish. Right now, they're only employed half the year. Well, what they want to do is teach them to grow food stocks of local fish and ornamental fish in alternating ponds, so they don't just collect in the dry season when all the fish are densely concentrated. They can also use fish in the area for other things. They won't have to harvest out of the river as much. They can actually kind of farm things, and instead of tilapia or imported things, they can have native things. And so they're working on researching how to do that too. So it's pretty cool. And I really support it. And it's one of the few charities, I don't back a ton of charities with my own vetting, because a lot of people, a lot of charities, only like 50 cents on the dollar or less goes to the cause. And even that means the cause, that's like paying the doctors that do Doctors Without Borders, not the medical supplies or whatever. That's a bad example. Doctors Without Borders is pretty good, but that, you get my point. Anyways, I'd like to show them that the fish family has power, has sway, and that we can get something done. And so that's why we set up a page just for us, for YouTubers, fish family, Discord, wherever we may be, online fish keepers, to show them that the big magazines, Petco, PetSmart, and universities aren't the only ones with opinions and money, that we want to help change things, help save fish. So that's my little pitch. I gave it at the beginning, giving it at the end. Thank you guys for joining me this morning. It's been really fun looking at all the different fish spawning and hanging out. I need to go shave. My beard is out of control. Now that all the fish are awake and rowdy, they all want food. So I'm going to get going to that, but I'll probably see you guys in the chats and stuff later. But I just wanted to fire up this stream for some of the European folks that don't get to hang out, and also Australian, obviously. But more so because the stream went down last night, and I thought it would be fun to hang out and chat since I was still up after working on the project. So I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it greatly. and take care of your fish, take care of your plants. Have a good one. Take care of yourself most of all, because you can't take care of everyone else and all the world's problems if you don't take care of you. Alright, guys. Have a good one. I'll talk to you later. I need to take a nap. Bye.